Good morning. Wow. Isn't David's life just crazy? Can you imagine all that he's gone through? And now he is on the run from his father-in-law, King Saul. David's like the champion. He killed Goliath. He's a really wonderful soldier, very loyal to King Saul. It just shows you what an awful thing jealousy is. Saul has just like totally lost his mind, hasn't he? Well, hang on. It's going to get even crazier in 1 Samuel chapter 21. Let's see. David's on the run. He doesn't even know where to go. He just ran by himself. So David went to the town of Nob to see Ahimelech the priest. Ahimelech trembled when he saw him. "Why are you alone?" he asked. "Why is no one with you?" Ahimelech knows something is wrong. Like David is all by himself. What does that mean? And David does not tell the truth here, I'm afraid. He says, "The king has sent me on a private matter. He told me not to tell anyone while I am here. I have told my men where to meet me later. Now, what is there to eat? Give me 5 loaves of bread or anything else you have." So David is a man on the run. He does not know where to go or where to turn, and King Saul's going to be after him. So he doesn't exactly tell the truth here, does he? The priest replies, "We don't have any regular bread, but there is the holy bread." And there was no other food available. In verse 6, it says, "Since there was no other food available, the priest gave him the holy bread, the bread of the presence that was placed before the Lord in the tabernacle. It had just been replaced that day with fresh bread." So it's holy bread. It's a part of their ritual, but the priest feels like he should give it to David. Now, unfortunately, there is a man named, I'm going to call him Dog, but it's Doeg, the Edomite. Saul's chief herdsman was there that day, having been detained before the Lord. Now, David asked Ahimelech, "Do you have a spear or a sword?" David left without even any weapons. "The king's business was so urgent that I didn't even have time to grab a weapon. I only have the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah," the priest replied. "It is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. Take that if you want it, for there is nothing else here." "There is nothing like it," David replied. "Give it to me." So David left without food and without weapons, and he gets both from Ahimelech. In verse 10, "So David escaped from Saul, and he went to King Achish of Gath. But the officers of Achish were unhappy about his being there. So he ends up leaving from there. In chapter 22, he goes to a cave of Adullam. And soon his brothers and all his other relatives joined him there. Then others began coming, men who were in trouble or in debt or who were just discontented, until David was the captain of about 400 men. So David goes from being this in major authority in the Israelite armies to just his family, and with men who were in trouble, in debt, or discontented. So that's his army of men. Oh my goodness. So later, David went to Mizpah in Moab, where he asked the king, "Please allow my father and mother to live here with you until I know what God is going to do for me." So David's parents stayed in Moab with the king during the entire time David was living in his stronghold in the cave. Then one day a prophet from Gad came to David. He said, "Leave the stronghold and go back to Judah." So David went to the forest of Hereth, and the word got out to Saul that David was there. And Saul shouts at his men, and he makes David look bad. He makes him sound bad. He says, "What does David have compared to what I have? Can his father, can the son of Jesse, can David give you fields and vineyards and make you generals and captains in his army? And he thinks that they're all conspiring against him. And he said, even my own son encouraged him to kill me, as he is trying to do this very day. Was David trying to kill Saul? No. Saul was trying to kill David. So Saul is worried that the men are going to all betray him and go after David. So he lies. He says that David is trying to kill him. In verse 9, then Dog, the Edomite, we knew he was going to be trouble, didn't we? He was listening and watching and knew what happened. Then Dog, the Edomite, who was standing there with Saul's men, spoke up. When I was at Nob, I saw the son of Jesse talking to the priest Ahimelech. Ahimelech consulted the Lord for him. Then he gave him food and the sword of Goliath, the Philistine. So King Saul immediately sent for Ahimelech and all his family who were served as priests at Nob. And when they arrived, Saul shouted at him, "Listen to me, you son of Ahitub." "What is it, my king?" Ahimelech asked. "Why have you and the son of Jesse conspired against me?" He doesn't even call David by his first name. Isn't that weird? "Why did you give him food and a sword, and why have you consulted for God for him? Why have you encouraged him to kill me as he is trying to do this very day?" "But sir," Ahimelech replied, "is anyone among all your servants as faithful as David, your son-in-law? Why, he's captain of your bodyguard and a highly honored member of your household. This was certainly not the first time I had consulted God for him. May the king not accuse me and my family in this matter, for I knew nothing at all of any plot against you." And there is no plot against him. David doesn't want to kill Saul, does he? And what do you think King Saul is going to do? This is the most horrible, terrible story. You're not going to like this part. I'm warning you. Look at verse 16. "You will surely die, Ahimelech, along with your entire family," the king shouted. He's still shouting. He's angry. He's out of his mind. And he ordered his bodyguards, "Kill these priests of the Lord, for they are allies and conspirators with David. They knew he was running away from me, but they didn't tell me." But guess what? Saul's men refused to kill Ahimelech, the Lord's priest. He's the Lord's priest. He's God's priest, and they know it, and they think that King Saul is getting a little wacko too. Then the king said to Dog, "You do it." So Dog the Edomite turned on them and killed them that day, 85 priests still wearing their priestly garments. Then he went to Nob and he killed all their families, every single one of them. Saul has no respect for the Lord and for those who are the Lord's, does he? I said every single one of them, but you know that's not right. You better look at verse 20 and see what it says. "Only Abiathar, one of the sons of Ahimelech, escaped and fled to David." So only one of Ahimelech's sons escaped from being killed, and he made it all the way back to where David was. When he told David that Saul had killed the priests of the Lord, David exclaimed, "I knew it when I saw Dog the Edomite there that day. I knew he was sure to tell Saul. Now I have caused the death of all your father's family. Stay here with me and don't be afraid. I will protect you with my own life, for the same person wants to kill us both." Isn't that awful sad? It is so hard. But we have another brave person in this story, and it was Ahimelech. He chose to help David because he knew that David was a man of God, and he was also very loyal to King Saul. He did not believe that David was up to no good, did he? He was very brave. But then he was even braver when he had to go before King Saul, and he explained to him and reminded Saul that David was very loyal to him. He had never done anything against him, and he had not conspired against King Saul. But it still cost him his life and all of his family, because King Saul absolutely was, I just want to say, he's gone crazy with jealousy and bitterness and fear that David is going to take his place, because he already knows that the kingdom has been torn away from him, that the blessing of God has been removed from him. So sometimes